3ds Max, like most big and complicated 3D programs, stores lots of different files. You've got scene files that store your geometry and animation. You've also got texture files or bitmaps that are images applied onto objects. You might have external references, which are scenes loaded into other scenes, and so on. And it's important that all of that data be stored in a central location. And that's called a project folder. And that's what we have in our exercise files here. If I open that up, we can see that there are a bunch of particularly named folders inside there. Scenes store all of the scene files, or the .max scenes. And then we've got scene assets images. Those are all the textures, and so on. Whenever you work in 3ds Max, you should always know what project you're currently working within and store all of the assets in that project. That way, if you need to move your project to a different folder or a different computer, or if you need to archive that data, it's all in one central location. And additionally, all the links between these files are relative to that project folder. As long as you do it right and follow the procedures that I'm going to show you in this course, you will have a much less likelihood of links to textures and so on getting broken. Now I'll show you how to create project folders and also how to assign to existing project folders. If you don't have the exercise files for the course and you want to generate assets as we go, then you'll want to create your own project from scratch. My recommendation is that you do that within the Windows interface in the operating system. If you do it within 3ds Max, then there are some problems that can occur. It's just a best practice for 3ds Max to create the root level of your project folder actually outside of 3ds Max. That's what I'll do. On my desktop, I'll right-click and create a new folder, and I'll call it Aaron's Project or something like that. Now let's go into 3ds Max and create a new project folder structure inside that empty folder. I'm now in 3ds Max, and up on the so-called caption bar, there is a button that is for assigning and creating project folders. When I hover my mouse over that, I get a tooltip that tells me what the current project folder is. That's the reference location for all of the assets. And it's currently pointed at the default project folder, which is inside the current user's Documents 3ds Max. Now I'll create a new project folder. Click on that button, and on my desktop, I've got Aaron's Project, and it's currently empty. I'll select that and then just click OK. 3ds Max looks inside that folder. And if it does not see those particularly named folders, like scenes and scene assets and so on, if it doesn't see those, then it creates them. And now if I hover my mouse over that icon once again, it shows that my project is on the desktop. Let's investigate. I'll go back to the desktop, minimize 3ds Max, and open up Aaron's Project. And it does have all of those needed project folders built. They're just all empty now. And if I'm in 3ds Max and I save, then it'll take me to the Scenes folder by default. That's how you create a brand new project folder structure if you don't already have one. If one exists, and if you want to point at that existing project folder, you actually use the same button. Let's go back to 3ds Max. And once again, click on that same button. It actually has two purposes, two functions. It can create a project folder, or it can point to an existing one. Click on that. And once again, on my desktop, I've got the exercise files. If you downloaded those, then drop them in a convenient location. Now, here's an important thing. You want to make sure that you select the root level of that folder. That means click on the folder that encloses all of these curiously named subfolders. If you click on that root folder, 3ds Max looks inside there, and it looks for a particular document, actually, which is an MXP file. And if that file exists, then 3ds Max will assume that this is your new project folder destination. However, if you make the mistake of selecting one of the subfolders here, let's say you click on Archives, for example, and then click OK, 3ds Max will now create a new project folder structure inside the current folder. And then you'll have a project folder nested inside another one. And I've seen this happen with students sometimes, and it can get very, very difficult and confusing because I've seen as many as 10 nested project folders inside one another. So just be very, very careful about this. Do not select one of the folders inside an existing project. Select the root level and then click OK. And double check. Go up and hover your mouse, and it says my current project is desktop exercise files. Cool. And then it's a good idea actually to reset the program, and that'll kind of clear out anything that was in memory. And then from now on, you can go and choose File Open, and you should be taken to the current project scenes folder, and then you can load up the scene for the particular exercise or demo. All right, that's how project folders work in 3ds Max. Please do not ignore this advice, because if you do, if you just start saving stuff any old place on your hard drive, you're going to have a world of pain. This is really the only way that you're going to be able to manage the assets without having broken links. So that finishes up our chapter on getting started, and now we'll take a look at the 3ds Max interface.